What's the most inaccurate thing your child learned at school? My 9-year-old daughter came home crying because her science teacher told her she was lying about her dad being an astronaut. My daughter Sarah had always been incredibly proud that I work for NASA. Every show and tell, she'd bring in my old mission patches, a pair of training gloves, or photos from my time on the International Space Station. Her classmates loved hearing about how astronauts sleep floating in zero gravity, or how we eat freeze-dried food. Then came Mrs. Thompson, the new science teacher. During a lesson about space, Sarah raised her hand and proudly told the class I had been on 3 missions to the ISS. Mrs. Thompson stopped mid-sentence, stared at her, and flatly said, "That's not true. Your father can't be an astronaut." Then she told the entire class that NASA doesn't do space missions anymore, and hadn't for years. Sarah tried to explain that I now work with both NASA and SpaceX, but Mrs. Thompson shut her down, saying she was disrupting the class. The next day, she made Sarah stand in front of everyone and apologize for making up stories. She even sent her to the principal's office for spreading lies. Sarah came home that afternoon devastated. She showed me the F grade Mrs. Thompson had given her on her space project, one she'd spent weeks putting together. It used real NASA data and included actual photos from my missions. But at the bottom of the paper, in red ink, Mrs. Thompson had written, "Stop making up stories about NASA." I was furious. I emailed Mrs. Thompson directly, explained who I was, attached my official NASA credentials, and offered to talk with the class to clear up any confusion. She responded by saying my documents could be easily faked, and even threatened to report me for encouraging Sarah to lie. So the next day, I showed up at school, during science period, wearing my full NASA flight suit. When I walked into that classroom and introduced myself, her jaw hit the floor. The kids exploded with excitement, especially when I pulled out some actual moon rock fragments from my last mission and passed them around in sealed display cases. Mrs. Thompson tried to recover, mumbling something about how she didn't know NASA still sent people into space. So I projected a live feed from the International Space Station onto the classroom wall. Then I video called 2 of my colleagues currently aboard the ISS so the class could ask questions. By then, other teachers had crowded into the room to watch. Mrs. Thompson was beet red. The principal walked in right as I was explaining how we go to the bathroom in space. Perfect timing. I showed him Sarah's project, complete with all the accurate data Mrs. Thompson had marked as wrong. She'd even written, "Stop lying," across Sarah's detailed diagram of the space station's solar panel system. The very next day, Mrs. Thompson was gone. The principal called a school-wide assembly to publicly apologize to Sarah. He explained that NASA is very much still active and that having an astronaut's daughter at their school was an incredible privilege. A month later, I arranged for Sarah's entire class to visit Mission Control in Houston. Her new science teacher, young, curious, and actually informed, helped the kids prepare questions to ask astronauts on a live ISS downlink. Sarah's still proud of me, but I've never been prouder of her.